Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we will be going over the Sorcerer tank for update 31, the Waking Flames DLC. This Sorcerer tank is designed to be an Elementalist, from shielding himself from foes by creating a frozen fortress, to having the ability to conjure up a storm and deal liquid lightning to a group of adds. All of this to finish them off with a little bit of heat. The setup for this build has changed from the previous update. In order to achieve this type of playstyle, now, I choose to run this playstyle on a Sorcerer over the Fire-wielding Dragon Knight and the Frozen Warden, due to the Sorcerer, in my opinion, feeling like a natural wizard class. The ability to have all the elements within the build will be the key component for this setup. Since one of the sets we will be running has an increase to the group's overall damage per element that the enemy has. I know that a Sorcerer class does lack in the Flame and Frost department for their skills. Since we know this, we can now effectively look for skills, sets, or even enchantments to help make this playstyle. Now, if you would like to learn more about this Elementalist wizard, I will be going over the stats, what skills I like to use, what kind of passives make this build, what gear makes this build tick, and last, what is the CP setup for my current level? All of this is coming up next. So let's get into the build, starting off in our character sheet. So our max magicka is sitting at 20,700, with max health sitting at 43,700, with max stam at 27,000. Our recoveries can go up on our back bar with our staff, with our max magicka recovery sitting at 1,500. Oop, I did forget to pop our potion, so let's pop that potion and let's do this again. Here we go. Magicka recovery can actually go up to 1,800 with a potion active, health recovery at 525, and stam recovery at 792. For resistance on the build, by applying our Boundless Storms and on our Sword and Board bar, our max resistance can be at 28,500 for spell, physical at 27,700. This can get increased with one of the sets that we are wearing by taking damage, but we will be going over sets later in the guide here. Now, for attributes on the build, we put 64 points into health. The reason for putting in health as a tank, health is one of the most important things. It keeps you alive. We can change these attributes around. If you prefer to have more magicka, you can put more magicka into the build, or if you even want more stam, we can put stam. Since none of our skills on this build actually scale off of our max health, so we can change things around here a little bit if you want to. For the boon on this build, we are running the Astronaut, just to increase our magicka recovery by 310, just to give us a little bit more recovery. We can change this to, let's say, the Lord. If you prefer to have a little bit more health than what I do, you'd probably be at like 45k. We can also put on, let's say, we can give ourselves more resistances if we think our resistance too low, especially if you're waiting for a set to proc on this build. We can increase resistance, we can do more max magicka, we can do more max stam, we can even do stam recovery. Just keep in mind, if you increase your stam recovery while you block on your sword and board, you will not get stam back, so just keep that in mind if you want to do stam recovery. We could do health recovery, but since our health recovery is kind of already low on the build, it really, to me, it don't really pay to try to really increase that. Now, let's dive into our skills. Now, before we kind of go over the skills that we run on the build, I just want to let y'all know that the order that I have my skills does not mean that you have to have it in this order. You do not have to have Boundless Storms as your X. You can have it as left bumper, right bumper, Y. You can have it as B. You can put it anywhere on this bar. Just keep in mind, though, there are some abilities on this bar that need to be on this bar for certain reasons, and that will be found over in the passives why we have the setup that we do. So let's start with our first ability. First ability we have is down into Storm Calling. It is the second ability to unlock, starts off as lightning form. We then morph it to Boundless Storms. This is 5 meters around us that lasts for 20 seconds, that does deal shock damage to everyone in the area, and it zaps them, so it kind of creates a liquid lightning effect, or splash lightning as some people would call it. Now, the main reason we actually want to run this is because when we actually have this active, we get major resolve. So this will increase our physical and spell resistance by 5,900, which helps us become a little bit more tankier. Also, for a little short period, when we activate it, we actually get major expedition, and we will increase our movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds, so we can kind of move a little bit faster too as well. So kind of you need a speed boost off it, but for the most part, try to keep this up because it will be important on this build to keep this up at all times. Now, next ability we have is down into the one-handed shield skill line. It is the second ability to unlock, starts off as low slash. I morphed it to deep slash. This will deal some physical damage to enemies around us in a 6 meter radius around us from the initial target. The nice part about this is it will reduce the movement speed of all enemies hit by 30% for 4 seconds. So they kind of are a little bit slowed, which is a soft C, which is soft crowd control for those that don't know. But the nice part is about it is for all the enemies that are affected by this, they get minor main applied to them, which reduces their damage down by 5% for 12 seconds. Why is this important? The reason why this is important is because by reducing their damage, one, we become a lot more tankier, so we don't take as much damage. Second reason is for healers in DPS, if we can't taunt everything, as long as we keep the main things taunted, because I'm not saying you're going to be able to taunt everything, but if we do lack in taunting some things, if our DPS and healer get hit, they're not going to take as much damage from the guys who get affected by this, making it easier for healers to heal us, keep us alive, keep DPS alive, and for DPS to survive so they can keep DPSing and not worry about self-healing as well. That's why we kind of want to run this one over the other one. If you want more ulti gain, then yes, I'd say go over into the other morph of this. Next ability we have is all the way down into the Fighter's Guild skill line. It is the first ability to unlock, starts off as Silver Bolt. We then morph it to Silver Leash. This will pull an enemy to us, and we will deal some damage when we do it. But the nice part is we also will reduce the enemy's speed by 30% for 4 seconds, so that way they can't run away when we kind of pull them in a little bit. And this will be a hard crowd control ability or a hard CC since it's a pull, so you can't like fear them or things like that. You could immobilize them, stuff like that, because you can do soft CCs on them yet. Next ability we have is up into the Daedric Summoning skill line. It is the first ability to unlock, starts off as Summoning Unstable Familiar. We then morph it to Summon Unstable Clan Fear. What this does is it creates a Clan Fear, and the Clan Fear will do some damage, either from a headbutt or they'll do a tail whip at enemies after after a couple seconds of fighting. The nice part about the Clan Fear is when active, we can use a special ability on them, so we can pretty much activate it again is what this means. For, the magic cost of 3,900 to heal us for 13,000, almost 14,000, and the Clan Fear for 6,900. I've actually gotten the self-heal to just heal me for like 15,000 alone. If we crit heal, I've actually seen this crit heal up to like 26,000. So this is a really, really nice self-heal, and this will be our oh snap, we're gonna die type of heal. And the nice part about this is this Clan Fear remains on us until killed or unsummoned. So what this means is we're gonna have to basically double bar this, because if he's not on both bars, he basically gets unsummoned, but we want to make sure to keep Clan Fear up because that will be later in the passives why we want to do that. Now, next ability we have is down into the One-Handed and Shield skill line. It is the first ability to unlock, starts off as Puncture. We then morph it to Pierce Armor. This will be our main taunt ability. We will deal some damage, but we will tell the enemy to attack us for 15 seconds. This one is really important that we keep the taunt on because we want the enemies focused on us, especially the boss, because otherwise if they go after our DPS or they go after our healer, they're probably going to die, and it's not good because then we got to then spend time to res them up. Either us or the DPS or healer or somebody's going to have to get the group up. Now the main reason we actually want to go with this one is because, as our main taunt too, is because when we use this inflicts minor breach and major breach on an enemy, and it reduces their physical and spell resistance. The minor breach on this is 2,900 and major is 5,915 seconds, so the whole duration of our taunt. Why is this important? The reason why this is important on the build especially is because when you go into a Ved dungeon, adds in there and enemies have a total of 18,200 physical and spell resistance. The lower we get that ads or boss resistance level, the stronger and harder our DPS are going to hit, because they don't have to cut through as much armor or their spell resistance and stuff like that if you're a Magicka DPS for spell resistance. So yes, this is the one we want to use for main taunt. Don't lose taunt, otherwise allies are going to die. So keep taunt on, keep applying that thing, help out your group. Now the ulti on this ability, on this build, I decided to go with the Undo. For other ultimate, I didn't really like any other ones. The only one that I would maybe recommend would probably be Shield Wall here. And then I would morph it, me personally would morph it to Spell Wall just to block, basically block all melee fighters and projectiles being ranged or Magicka base that get reflected back at the enemy. So you kind of do a little bit of damage, but it's a good, oh snap, I need to get an ally up type of ulti that I've used in the past. You can use the other one to lower your Pierce Armor or Deep Slash if you want to, but we actually went into the Psijic order. And the Undo, we morphed to Temporal Guard. This one will just let us go back to where we were 4 seconds ago to get where our health, magic, and stam were. So if, let's say you lose a lot of health, magic, and stam, within 4 seconds pop this and you kind of get it all back if you were at full. But we actually really like this just for the slottable on it. By slotting this, we actually gain minor protection, reducing our damage taken by 5%, so it makes us a little bit tankier and allows us to take some well-needed damage without dying as easy. Now over into the back bar. First ability we have is actually in the Mage's Guild. It is the third ability to unlock, starts off as Fire Rune. We then morph it to Scalding Rune, which we can cast this out for 28 meters. And yes, the radius of 3 meters seems a little bit small, and it does take 2 seconds to arm it, but it can last for 18 seconds in that area. When this gets triggered, so when somebody steps on it, the runes blast all enemies in the target area for some flame damage, and then it will be an additional amount of flame damage for 14 seconds, which will be a very key part into knowing how this gets applied and why we use it later in our build, like in the sets and gears and slottables. So just to let you all know. Next ability we have is all the way up here into the Dark Magic skill line. It is the second ability to unlock, starts off as Encase. We morph it to Restraining Prison. This is an 18 by 6 meter area, so kind of like a rectangle shape of 6 meters wide, 18 meters deep that lasts for 4 seconds. It will immobilize enemies in the area in front of us for 6 seconds, which is really, really nice to kind of hold everybody in place. Nice part, if no enemies are immobilized or can't be immobilized, we do restore 2,300 Magicka, so we kind of negate some of the costs a little bit, which is also handy so we don't burn our Magicka too bad as well. Now for any enemy that we hit, we get Major Vitality, which increases our healing received by 16% for 2 seconds, plus 1 extra second per enemy in the area, up to a maximum of 6 enemies. So if we hit 6 enemies, we're going to get a very good duration of Major Vitality for us. Next ability we have is down into the Destruction Staff skill line. It is the second ability to unlock. Starts off as Wall of Elements. We morph it to Elemental Blockade. This is an 18 by 12 meter area, so 12 meters wide by 18 meters deep. That does last for 11 seconds. And this, we just slam our staff, dealing some Magicka damage in the target area every 1 second. On this, we actually have a Lightning Staff, but if it were me, I would actually change it to a Frost Staff. But since we have a Lightning, what this does is we do have a chance to set and concuss enemy off balance for 7 seconds, which can be kind of nice. If we heavy attack that enemy, we get double the resources of the heavy, and on top of it too, shock can apply the minor vulnerability as well, so the enemies would take a little bit more damage. But if it were my choice, I would actually like to do a frost staff. I just don't have a frost staff for that set quite yet. Next ability we have on the build is also back in Daedric Summoning. It is our Summon Unstable Clanfear. That way, how I set it up is that way it's always left bumper. That way I know constantly where my oh snap, I'm gonna die, I need to heal quick, is always the same button over and over and over again. Next ability we have is all the way down into the Undaunted skill line. It is the third ability to unlock. Starts off as Inner Fire. We then morph it to Inner Beast. This will deal some physical damage and taunt enemies to attack us, and we can cast this up to 28 meters. So this will be our range taunt to tell the ad or boss to come to us, especially if he kind of gets away from us. That way we don't have to run and sprint to get to him, just to give him a little jabbity jab or pokety poke with our puncture. Now the thing is, with this morph is the enemy will take 10% more damage from our attacks while this effect persists. And on top of it too, ranged allies, so people at a distance who are targeting the same enemy that we used Inner Beast on, have a 50% chance to activate the Radiant Synergy, dealing 5,000 magicka damage to them over 3 seconds, and then additional 5,600 magicka damage to them and other nearby enemies. So it's kind of nice for providing a synergy here a little bit. Now for the ultimate on this bar, I decided to go all the way down into our Assault skill line with Warhorn. Then we morphed it to Aggressive Warhorn. This is 20 meters around us, lasts for 30 seconds. This will increase the groups and ourselves, increase our max magicka and max stam, and same with the group members, by 10% for 30 seconds. Now the main reason why I like to use it is because of the specialty bonus here, is us and our allies gain major force, increasing our critical damage by 20% for 10 seconds. So that will definitely help our DPS who are like critical chance focus, and when the more times they can hit that crit, the harder they're going to hit because they're hitting that critical damage by us applying major force. Now you could, if your healer is running Aggressive Warhorn and is keeping up quite a bit often on it, you could go into the support and use Barrier. Of course, I don't have it unlocked yet, but that would be another option that I would use here, would be in the Barrier for this build. Now, we're going to be going over the passives, and for the passives, I will only be covering the key passives for the build. I still recommend that you go through all your passives and read them. Some do help in different ways. For me, I am just focusing on the ones that make this build shine. So we're going to start up into the Dark Magic skill line. First one I want to talk about is Unholy Knowledge. This reduces the cost of our health, magicka, and stam abilities by 6%. This, for me, really helps us as a tank to sustain, because we don't have to use so much of our resources to actually now cast these things, so we can keep more resources when we really need it. Next one I want to talk about is Persistence here. If I said that right, sorry if I didn't. But this one is, after blocking an attack, your next health, magicka, or stam ability costs 15% less. This one also is a really nice thing to have as a tank for better sustain on the build too, because you're not using as much resources, kind of like the same as Unholy Knowledge. Now, the next down into the Daedric Summoning. Sorry about that, Daedric Summoning. This one I want to talk about the Power Stone. This reduces the cost of our ultimate abilities by 15%. So this allows us to cast, able to cast Warhorn a little bit faster because it does cost less. So if I go all the way up here and look, Warhorn is only 200 ultimate and not 250 ultimate, which is really nice. Next we have Daedric Protection here, which increases our health and stam recovery by 20% while we have a Daedric summoning ability slotted, and we do because we have our Clanfear here, and we have it on both bars, so it's kind of nice. Just to get those resources back. Granted, I know the whole stam recovery ain't really necessary if you're blocking with your sword and board, but it's still something nice to have when you're not blocking to kind of get that little stam back. Now next one here, I would say Expert Summoner. This increases our max health by 8% while having a pet summon. So that gives us bigger health, so that's why my health is sitting at 43k really just with our food. And it's not even the best food, but yeah, that's what's kind of really helping. And since it's on both bars, our health doesn't dip from one to the other. Now next we have into Stormcalling. This one I would probably say we're gonna probably mostly look at Capacitator. This just increases our Magicka recovery by 10%. So that keeps our recovery up higher, so we can cast like our O-Snap heals to keep us alive. We're able to hold enemies a little bit better, because we do have a lot of Magicka based abilities. If we count how much we do, we got 4 on this bar. We'll count that one again, that's 5 and 6. So we got a 6-to-4 ratio of Magicka to Stam ability on here. I guess another one that, yeah, that would probably be the only ones. I mean, there's other ones in here, like I said, check them out, but Capacitator is the one I would mostly really focus on in this build to make sure to get. But all of them are really nice. I still highly recommend to get them, just that one makes the build shine there. So, over into the one-handed and shield skill line, we have Fortress, which reduces the stam cost of our one-handed shield abilities by 15%, which is, it's a nice thing, but what we really like it for is the reduce the cost of blocking by 36%, so we can block a little bit longer on this build because we have Fortress. Next, I would say is Sword and Board, increasing our weapon and spell damage by 5%. Nice to get a little bit of damage out there, but the amount of damage we can block by 20% is really nice and helps mitigate quite a bit, so we can take a little bit more damage than normal if we didn't have a sword and shield equipped. Next, I would probably say is Deflective Bolts. This allows us to block projectiles and range attacks, so projectiles are considered like magic users when they cast a staff at us, whether it be frost, lightning, fire, we block 14% more of those, and range is, of course, your archers out there. And this does kind of stack with Sword and Board, so we are reducing our damage from projectiles and range attack by roughly 34%. Now into the Destruction Staff skill line, I want to talk about Elemental Force. This increases our chance to apply a status effect by 100%, and for a lightning staff, it is minor vulnerability. And like I said earlier, I really wish I had a frost staff, because I'd rather have the frost staff so we could maybe apply that minor main to group of ads, but it'd be a little bit better chance of actually applying that minor brittle to increase everyone's critical damage by 10%, or that enemy takes 10% more critical damage. Now, a optional one here that you can use is Trifocus, especially with Ice Staff, because a fully charged Ice Staff heavy attack grants you a damage shield that absorbs 10,900, so it gives you a nice little damage shield. But it's mostly when we have an Ice Staff equipped, blocking costs Magicka instead of Stam, so that's where we can kind of increase our Stam pool a little bit while blocking, because when we block with Magicka, our Magicka recovery is going to be muffed with Frost Staff. So that's why where Trifocus is kind of an optional one, is because if you don't want it to cost Magicka and negate your Magicka regen, then you don't want Trifocus on. If you want a damage shield and want Magicka costs for block, then that's where you will want Trifocus with Nice Staff. Since we got a lightning, we don't get that, but we can damage nearby enemies with Nice Staff. Then going over into the armor skill line, we're going to start off in the light armor. So light armor will give us more Magicka recovery. We have reduced cost to Magicka base abilities. There's spell and weapon critical here. There's also spell and physical penetration, along with other bonuses and penalties along with the skill line. Penalties are here, and here are some bonuses for wearing light. Over into the medium armor skill line, this one here will give us, in this skill line, will give us a more stam recovery. There's a reduced cost of stam abilities. There's critical damage and healing done within this skill line. There's also weapon and spell damage and other bonuses as well. Medium armor doesn't get negative effects, they get bonuses only. And here are some lists of those. Now for heavy armor, in here you'll see like it will give us more like resistances. It will increase our health recovery. We will restore more resources when we take damage. There's max health, along with other bonuses and penalties as well. Over into the Fighters Guild skill line, we got Intimidating Presence. This is mostly for questing purposes, but it's also nice to reduce the stam cost of our Fighter Guild abilities by 15%. And then some of these other ones just, you know, increases our weapon and spell damage for slot ability. We do have a chance whenever we kill an enemy, if a Fighter's Guild ability is slotted, so that would be on our sword and board bar only, to generate 3 ultimate, which can be kind of nice. In the Mages Guild, we have Persuasive Will here, mostly for the questing, but for other things in here, reducing the magic and health cost of our Mages Guild ability, that will help with our Scaling Rune here on our X button. Increasing the duration of the ability definitely is a really nice help. Increasing our max magicka and increasing our max magicka and magicka recovery by 2%, so we get a little bit increase of recovery on our back bar. That's why it's a little higher than others. And then whenever we cast also that Scaling Rune, we will get Empowering, so give us a little bit of DPS build as well there. Oh, and then in the Psijic order, the one that we really got here is just Concentrated Barrier. This just gives us a little damage shield when we are on our front bar of 5,000. But when it goes out, we just gotta make sure that we can't block for 10 seconds. That's what spend 10 seconds not bracing means, is you just gotta drop block for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds of not blocking, we'll block in and you should have your damage shield back up as well. Undaunted, we have Undaunted Command. Activating Synergy restores 4% of our max health, stam, and magicka. For this build, we have 1,700 health, 1,000 stam, and 846 magicka. Undaunted Metal increases our max health, stam, and magicka by 2% per type of arm worn. And yes, we are wearing at least 1 heavy, 1 medium, and 1 light to get our 6%. In the Assault, we can use Continuous Attack. This is just mostly to gain Major Gallop at all times, increasing the mount speed by 30% just to get from place to place. It's not a necessary thing for the build, but it does help for like when you're leveling your character up and questing. For the race on the build, we are running an Imperial. Do you have to run Imperial on the build? No, you can run any other race. Top tank choices as of right now are Argonians and Nords. You can run any other race. Just keep in mind when you do run any of the other races besides the Imperial, your stats may look a little bit different than mine, or if you change stats around on the build in any shape or form, it's going to be different. But I really like the Imperial for the Sorcerer because we do get tough here, which increases our max health by 2,000. Nice to keeping ourselves alive. Imperial Metal increases our max stam by 2,000, so that way we got a nice blocking pool and for other stuff. But really what's really nice about it is we get Red Diamond, reducing cost of all your abilities by 6%. So, you know, that's ultimate, that's health abilities, that would be stam abilities and magic abilities. So we got a really high reduce the cost to our abilities within this build. So sustaining is going to be a lot easier on the build running the Imperial compared to others. If you want more ulti gen, then I'd say Nord. If you want to have a little stronger healing on your clan, for Argonian would be good, or even just popping potion for resources, Argonian's really good for that too. But yeah, any race will work on the build. This is just what I prefer, and this is what I picture a sorcerer or a wizard would be the Imperial class for me. Now for craft and alchemy, we have medicinal use, the most important passive in the game, in my opinion. When using a potion, resulting effects last 30% longer. What that means is when we pop a potions, the effects on there stay active for a longer time. If you do not have medicinal use, your potions last for 39 seconds, the buffs that they apply. With the cooldown on your potion is 45 seconds, so you got 9 seconds of cooldown, where I meant 36 seconds. Yeah, 9 seconds of cooldown on it where you don't have your buffs. Medicinal use will bring it up to 47, so you got 2 seconds over 45 seconds to pop the potion to keep those buff active. So get medicinal use. It's really, really nice, and it's very important on the build. Now over into provisioning, I would say gourmet, add 20 minutes to the duration of any eaten food. This really helps, so that way you don't have to spend as much gold or resources to keep making your foods and stuff like that. If you are running a drink or want to run a drink on the build, then I'd say Concierge, because it would add 20 minutes to the duration of any consumed drink. So now let's go over into the gear I'm wearing / Slottables. So here we go. So for Slottables on this build, I'm actually currently using the Crown Fortified Meal just because it's daily logins. We get quite a bit of it, and it's okay to run this. You don't need to go all the way up to the Bewitched Sugar Skulls, because this will give you a max health increase of 4,400 with max Magicka and stamina of 4,100 for 2.5 hours. If you go Bewitched Sugar Skulls, you will see an increase to your max health, max stam, and max Magicka. And on top of it, you will get some health recovery by 462, which it can be nice too if you want more health recovery on the build. But you don't have to go all the way to the top. You can be okay with Crown Fortified Meal or Tri-Stat Food. Now for the potions on the build, I am running the Crown Tri-Restoration Potion. Again, I'm just running it because I get these in daily, so I don't have to make them. So it's kind of nice to save on stuff and build my resources while I have them. But this will restore 8,300 health with 7,500 Magicka and Stam immediately, and this will give us Major Fortitude, Major Intellect, and Major Endurance, which increases our health, Magicka, and Stam recovery by 30% for 47.3 seconds. That is where medicinal use comes into play, folks, with a 45-second cooldown to potions. Now, for weapons, I am running Digger of Catalyst with Absorb Magicka enchantment. You can change the enchantment if you so desire. You can run Absorb Stam if you are having trouble keeping your Stam up. You can run Weakening enchantment to reduce the enemy's weapon and spell damage by X amount. Those are very good options there for enchantments. You could run a Flame enchantment. You could run a Frost enchantment. You can even run Lightning, even though I'd probably say Lightning is on the lower tier, and we'll kind of explain that within this set because it will explain a lot why you maybe want to run those like Lightning or Frost or Flame enchantments on this build. For trait, we went with Decisive just to gain ultimate. Whenever you do get ultimate, we have a 25% chance to gain one additional element, so that way we can build ulti quicker to drop more war horns, barriers, or if we need to a no snap situation and do undo, or temporal guard in this case. Now the Elemental Catalyst set. For 2 pieces, we get 1,000 max Magicka. 3 pieces, we get 634 spell critical, which is okay. 4 pieces, we get another 1,000 max Magicka. And the big kicker here is for 5 pieces. Whenever we deal Flame, Shock, or Frost damage, we apply a stack of Flame, Frost, or Flame, Shock, or Frost weakness to the enemy for 3 seconds. Each stack of element weakness increases their critical damage taken by 5%. An enemy can only have 1 stack of each element weakness at a time. So what that means is we can't stack like 3 lightning elements on the enemy to give them 15%. No, we gotta at least stack 1 of each. So on this build, we got Boundless Storm. It's X here. This would be our lightning damage on the build. And we have Scaling Rune. This would be our fire damage within the build. Now, where we get our Frost would be, like I said earlier, I would rather have my Lightning Staff here actually as a Frost Staff to actually be able to do Blockade of Frost for that Frost damage. On top of it, applying that Minor Brittle to the build, so that way enemies take 10% more critical damage if they are affected by Minor Brittle, and that way with Elemental Catalyst we can add 15% to that, so it would take a total of 25% more critical damage. Now, there's also more things into the gear which will help us, but we're going to go into our shield. For the shield, I want max stam enchantment with sturdy trait just to reduce the cost of blocking so we can block a lot longer. The staff is a lightning staff with absorb magic enchantment. That should change over to Crusher. I just didn't change it to Crushers, but that's what it should be. It shouldn't be absorb magicka, so put this to a Crusher enchantment just because I was hoping to get a Frost Staff, and that's why I haven't changed it yet. You want to keep the Infused on here just to increase the weapon's enchantment effect by 25% and reduce the enchantment's cooldown by 50%. Another good trait if you don't have Infused is Charge, because that will give you a 200% chance to apply the status effect on the enemy. So you could apply Minor Brittle if you had an Ice Staff while equipped. Now, for the monster set, I am running the Lord Wardens with Max Stam enchantment on here. This is medium armor, so this is where our medium piece come in. I went the Infused trait because I just like a little bit more resources, and since head is one of the bigger 3 pieces, you get a little bit better enchantments off of it. Now, the Lord Warden set gives us 1,400 armor, which is nice because we kind of need it, sitting only at 2,800 for spell resistance currently with our Boundless Storm. And whenever we take damage, we have a 50% chance to summon a Shadow Orb for 10 seconds, increasing our physical and spell resistance. And if any group members are within that 8 meters, they also will increase their physical and spell resistance by 3,000. And this can occur once every 10 seconds, so every time we take damage as a tank, we're going to take damage a lot, so it's a good chance this orb is going to be active quite a bit. So instead of 28,000, we're going to be roughly at 31,000. Now for the chest, we are running the Frozen Watcher. This has a Max Stam enchantment, as most of our pieces here will actually have Max Stam enchantment because we got Max Magicka enchantment somewhere else. But for the bigger pieces like the chest and legs, we did go the Reinforced trait with feet, hands, waist, and shoulder all in sturdy. So for the Frozen Watcher set, this gives us 1,000 max stam, nice for blocking, 1,100 max health to keep us alive. Again, another 1,000 max stam for more blocking and calling out resources. And the 5-piece, summoning a blizzard around you while blocking, inflicting 1,400 frost damage every 1 second to enemies within 6 meters. This effect is scaled off of our max health, so if you have more health, you're going to do a little bit more damage. Your blizzard has a 15% chance to inflict the chilled on the enemy damage. So they will get chilled and they'll have minor main applied to them if they get chilled. Now for the accessories, this is part of the catalyst, and for the neck here we have Magicka Recovery. Same with the rings, we have Magicka Recovery. Neck, we have the Arcane trait, just increase our Magicka potency here on the build, and then the rest, the rings, I transmuted them over, or I should say reconstructed them to healthy to give myself a little higher health boost. So without a frost staff, we actually now have our 3 elements. So the nice thing about Boundless Storm is when we actually do this, we get the bumpers applying there. But on top of it too, we can actually apply on this enemy, we can actually apply minor vulnerability because he is actually taking flash lightning damage. There you go, it's 3, 2, 1 all the way to the far left there. There was minor vulnerability on the build. So there's our ice just going, and here's our shock. So as you can see in the middle 2 counters over now on the left side, that is our frost and lightning going off. Now how we apply the fire is we use our scale rune, and boom, now we have all 3 elements. So now this ad is taking a lot more damage just by us really just holding block, keeping our scaling rune up. That's all you really got to do to apply your 3 elements on the build. Now let's go over into our champion point system on the build. So in the green tree here, this is kind of wherever you kind of sort like putting things on. For Slottables on this, I have Treasure Hunter just to have better chance for getting better quality items and chests. So that way I can maybe get purple gear and stuff. Rationer, this adds 30 minutes to any food or drink that we consume. That way we don't have to spend so much time on it. Then we have Liquid Efficiency, increasing our potion or poison have a 10% chance not to be consumed, so that way we can save on potions or poisons if we do use it. Steed's Blessing, this will increase our movement speed by 20% while out of combat, which is really nice. Now over into the blue tree here, we do have Duelist rebuff, reduce the damage taken by single target attacks by 10%. I have also Enduring Resolve, reduce the damage taken by damage over time attacks by 10%. And Unassailable for 10% damage reduction from area of effects. I did go with Bulwark here, just to increase my physical and spell resistance by 1900, just because it was lacking and low. I know some people would say you probably should run Ironclad here just to reduce your damage taken by direct damage attack by 10% all the way leveled up, but I just kind of need a little bit more resistance on my build is why I went it this way. Make sure to get Tireless Discipline for more stam and Eldritch Insight for more magicka. On this, we actually really want to go down the left side of the tree here, just because increase the chance to apply magical status effects, so that will give us a 60% chance to increase our elemental catalyst, like the lightning and all that other stuff, to keep that applied. On top of it, we got War Mage grants us 100 weapon and spell damage for those magical flame frost and shock damage, so we'll do a little bit more damage with those as well. Over into the red tree, we have Boundless Vitality for 1400 max health. There is Fortified for more armor. Again, I needed more resistance on the build. If you go Nord, you probably don't need as much resistance, but I do. Then I do Expert Evasion just for whenever I roll dodge. I have a 30-second cooldown and I can roll dodge again at no cost, which is nice to keep up my resources as well. And then I believe, yep, it is in this tree. Then we have Bracing Anchor. This will increase the amount of damage we can block by 20%, but we also reduce our movement speed by 16% while in combat at all stages. So it's not like 16 and then it doubles when it goes to the next one. It's just 16 all the way through. But other things I got is Hasty in here just to move a little bit faster. Right there it is. And then we got really good one, Hero's Vigor, just to increase our max health. I would really recommend, if you're a lower CP, to really get Fortification. This increases the amount of damage you can block by 4%, which is really, really nice and can help you a lot. This is when I was first starting, I didn't realize that's what you kind of needed. When I put this on, this solved a lot of my problems. And then things like Tireless Guardian for, you know, reduce the cost of blocking. And then there's Savage Defense, so that way when we bash somebody, it don't cost as much stam. And then things over here just reduce the cost of roll dodge when we do have to roll dodge, when this is if we roll within 30 seconds, and then reduce the cost of breaking free. It's kind of nice. And then here, this is just to reduce the duration of elemental stats effects applied to us, like burn, concussed, and, you know, chilled and stuff like that. So yeah, that will wrap things up for the Sorcerer tank build. Thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It is free for you. It is free for you to do so. If you want to stay up to date with new content, click the bell so you get notified when I have a new video out for you. You can also follow me over on Twitch and chat with me live, or if you just want to come hang out, say hi. If you have any questions about the build or other suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section down below or over at Twitter. Thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you in game or in the next video.